Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and I'm here to talk about The Originals, episode 406, titled Bag of Cobras, which premiered Friday, April 28th, 2017 on the CW. It's April 30th. I'm recording this song, so it's been a few days. But with that said, guys, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other reminders for the video is up on screen. Take a moment to read through those. Otherwise, let's start the 10-minute clock, and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So timeline-wise, it's been 24 hours after episode 405. Apparently, it's been 24 hours since anybody has seen Marcel, and as we know at the end of the previous episode, he is imprisoned in the dungeon where he had kept Klaus for 5 years. So there's that for timelines. Storyline-wise, though, I picked up two distinct storylines going on, even though in the very end they do come together. First part of the episode, or a majority part of the episode, dealt with weeding out the Hollowers, and the second one had to do with Haley's journey in finding out more about her parents. So with the first storyline, though, weeding out the Hollowers meant that Klaus and Elijah throw a big party as a bit of a setup to bring all the people in the city, very influential. It seems like everyone there is aware of the supernatural. But this allows Vincent to search through the crowd and find out who is a Hollower. And as you remember, I call Hollower being the Hollow followers. And Vincent discovers that Dominic is actually the high priest of the Hollow, and finds out when, through his magic, he finds him in Dominic holding a big, large snake, which, through a tarot card reading, his 4 cards had the commonality of a snake in the background, which kind of relates back to the title of the episode, Bag of Cobras. So, with that said, though, Elijah kills Dominic in front of everyone, which is why I think everyone there kind of knows something about the supernatural, because they weren't screaming in terror or running out or saying vampire, vampire, or anything like that. We get that. Also, we get Sophia trying to kill Klaus for the Hollow with her thorn bracelet, but instead Klaus makes a deal with her. Give him every last bit of poisonous thorn for his family in exchange for Marcel's release. Sophia does take him up on that offer, though she doesn't get it immediately like she had hoped. And while during this whole party's happening, we have Josh trying to find Marcel, and while he ventures into the tunnels where the dungeon is located, he can't see Marcel thanks to the spell that Freya put that only Michelson blood could see through the magic. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. So while Josh can't see anything, he does smell a specific herb that Davina had taught him is always connected to cloaking magic. So he knows something is down in the dungeon. So he believes it's Marcel. So with that all said, storyline 2 deals with Haley trying to figure out more about the Hollow's involvement in the death of her parents. She gets Freya to help her unlock the memories of her parents' final moments, which happens when Haley was a baby. And through these flashes, Haley sees her father dropping a key into the boards on the porch. So when she smashes that open immediately after coming out of it, she finds that it belongs to a storage unit. Now, when going to the storage unit, Haley finds a lot of her parents' old things, a lot of old photos and stuff like that, really reminiscent and all that. But she does find her old teddy bear, which apparently has a old jawbone hidden inside of it. It apparently is what her parents were protecting from the Hollow's followers. Kind of creepy, though, if the baby Haley was ever holding on to that teddy bear, if you know what I mean. So anyways, last scene of the episode shows the Hollowers resurrecting Dominic, while Haley, Elijah, and Klaus realize that they need to keep the Hollow from regathering the 4 bone fragments, because that is what its ultimate goal was. And we find out that Papa Junde's knife is actually considered one of these 4 fragments, which Dominic has during his resurrection. So there's that. Tidbits, though, is that we found out that Klaus had killed Sophia's family 500 years ago during a wedding, which is why she's so hell-bent on killing him again. Though it does have me wondering, is she part of Klaus's sire line, or was she part of Klaus's sire line? So there's that. And if he actually remembers her family in any sort of which way. Another thing we found out was that Vincent discovered that the Hollow has been contributing to the violence in the city for many, many years. Mainly 4 different massacres, and from the looks of it. The Axeman murders that we were introduced to the history of last season are apparently connected to the Hollow, apparently, as well as some major event in 1953, as well as in 1992. So the Hollow has always been there looming underneath the surface. So Vince is finally connecting the dots, though. What was the most shocking moment of the episode? Let's move to that. I think it has to be the fact that Dominic was resurrected. I wasn't expecting that. Even though Elijah killing him the way he did was a surprise since he made it such a spectacle. But I didn't think he would be resurrected. Maybe certain precautions were done, but I guess because of the fact he is the Hollow's high priest, maybe he has more leeway to it. But that was a surprise when it happened. So there's that. But it still has me thinking whether or not he's just a mouthpiece for the Hollow, which I'll get to later on, though. Moving on, though, to top 3 favorite moments. I have to say the first one has to be Vincent's research. It was all kind of blurred out to me, though, but I remember the moment when Vince is trying to explain it all to Elijah about the 4 massacre sites and everything and how this darkness has been brewing in the city for so long. I really liked how Vincent was able to bring it all together. He was actually looking over what he had placed on the wall for his research and trying to connect it verbally while recording it, so he at least goes with his thought process. I really like how he was doing it. It really explains why he was holed up in his home since he wasn't seen in the previous episode. So at least he made some leeway in trying to figure out what the Hollow wants, in a sense, and try to get a way of how it operates. Another favorite moment for me has to be the fact that Elijah chose to keep his alliance with Vincent over the offered immunity that Dominic was giving him and his family. Dominic wanted Marcel and Vincent to the Hollow, and in exchange, Dominic would have the Hollow back off of the Michelson family. Instead of Elijah taking it and looking out for the best of his family, he continues to side with Vincent, knowing that if he broke that alliance, then all the witches in New Orleans would ultimately turn against the Michelsons, without a doubt. So I really like that in that moment, Elijah chose to stick to Vincent's side. So I really like that. Definitely a good turning point for him. And I love that he didn't cower under Dominic's proposal or big words behind the Hollow, if it were. Last favorite moment for me, is that we actually found out what the Hollow's end game is, and that is the fact that it wants permanent resurrection in this plane, I guess you could say. And that was the fact that it needs the foam bone fragments, which apparently are the original. Whoever's behind the Hollow, apparently those 4 bone fragments are its original bones. So it needs that, plus it needs a very powerful sacrifice, aka Marcel or Klaus, or even both, in order to allow for this resurrection to come to fruition. So it's really great to see that we actually got the motivation behind the Hollow in this episode. Moving on to top 3 peeve moments. I only have the one, and it was the fact that the Hollowers now have Papa Tunde's knife. The whole point of them infiltrating the party was so that they can get their hands on that knife, which kind of sucks. I guess it shows that no safe is safe. He might... No, to be pretty honest, I think Klaus would have had a better hiding spot for Papa Tunde's knife if he had put it inside Marcel's chest. Essentially, I think that would have been its best hiding place from people like the Hollow followers. So there's that. Moving on to what moment will I remember most when I look back on this episode, it has to be the fact that we got the end game for the Hollow. The fact that it wants to be resurrected and to be a permanent feature in this plane. That's a huge one. But moving on to random questions. First one, if Haley was digging up her family history and Klaus was dealing with the Hollowers at the party, does that mean that Hope was in the bayou with Grandma Mary? I know it's a stupid question, but it does have me wondering that whole episode when we saw both her parents doing their own missions. Well, where was their kid? So that has me wondering. I'm pretty sure that's where she was. But moving on, second question. Is the Hollow someone the Michelsons have faced before in the last 1,000 years of existence, or will this be a new face for them as well as for us? Are they older than the as in the Hollow? Is the Hollow older than the Michelsons, or whoever is behind the facade of the Hollow? Is it possible that they surpassed that and then they're in the era of Silas, which was 2,000 years ago, or are they in the era of the Sirens, which was 4,000 years ago? So it does have me wondering if we're ever going to get any paths crossed with the Vampire Diaries, older villains with the Hollow, if they ever did intersect in any way, or if there's a connection of some sort. I'm really curious about that. Next question, though, is anyone else getting a deja vu moment about the Hollow, like with Silas back on the Vampire Diaries in Season 4 and Season 5? I'm a little reminded of... It's because the whole cult following and now a whole bunch of followers were doing Silas's bidding so that he could be brought back to life, therefore awakened with his promise of reuniting them with their loved ones, their dead loved ones. There's the timer. When in this case, you have the Hollow doing pretty much the same thing, having all its followers trying to do everything it can to resurrect it, and then giving them as the reward whatever it promised. So I guess in this case, cleansing of the city. So that has me a little deja vu on that, but it's also reminding me a little bit of what's currently happening over on The Flash, Season 3, with Savitar and his whole cult followers. So that's a little reminiscent and deja vu-y over there. But there's that. Also, another question, though, is the fact that as the High Priest, is Dominic in any way the Hollow's mouthpiece? Again, this is bringing back to a connection that we learned from The Flash, where Savitar had used Dr. Alchemy as its mouthpiece instead of it actually being a separate entity. That was Dr. Alchemy, as we found out. Sorry for the spoiler alert there, though. But I'm wondering if that's in any way possibly the same thing going on with Dominic, or if Dominic's actually in full control and he's just really very tuned into what the Hollow wants. So there's that question there, though. Moving on to predictions, though. Based off the promo for 407, it looks like Freya tries to stop the Hollow from sacrificing Klaus. Klaus has the jawbone that Haley had found, so thankfully they still have it. Looks like Vincent wonders if Elijah remembers what it's like to be human. Apparently he doesn't. And it looks like Dominic goes against Freya, or she's not impressed by his ways. So there's that. And based off the synopsis for episode 407, it looks like Charles Michael Davis, aka Marcel, is actually directing this episode. So the synopsis reads that when it's discovered that the Hollow's latest servant is on the loose, Freya places a protection spell on the compound, forcing Klaus, Haley, and Hope to remain inside. Meanwhile, Elijah takes matters in his own hands when Vincent is reluctant to perform a dangerous ritual needed to strengthen their defense against the Hollow. Finally, while Freya enacts a risky plan that brings her face to face with her latest threat, an unexpected twist leaves her life hanging in the balance. We also get to see Marcel as well. But latest servant on the loose, I'm guessing that has to do with Dominic. So there's that. I think I saw briefly in a different promo that Hope finally gets to meet Marcel, maybe, though. Because I'm assuming if they're stuck in the compound, then Marcel is kind of included in that, since he's kind of in the basement of the compound, or the abattoir, as it were. So be interesting to see just what Klaus and Haley are going to do when they're stuck inside. Not only with their daughter, I mean, they're going to be happy to be with her, but I'm sure they would rather be out there trying to keep the Hollow away from her. So there's that. I'm wondering what kind of unexpected twist Freya deals with, though. Is it going to be a familiar face popping up? Is it going to be something else? But I guess we'll have to wait and see about that, though. I don't really have any other predictions aside from that, though. So what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Sorry. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your own thoughts, theories, opinions about what you think is going to happen. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all that good stuff. All found in one place. Go check it out. It's also connected to my WordPress account. Link for that is down below. It's a work in progress, but everything I post online is connected through WordPress. It's a little more organized, so you can check that out if you like as well. And if you want a more detailed recap of this episode, a play-by-play with, if you will, of, then check out my Livejournal entry, link down below in the description box. I summarized it as I watched it for the first time, so you get my in-moment thoughts and questions as I watch it. It definitely helps keep my thoughts organized, or it definitely keeps things straight in my mind on what happened in which episode. So that's helpful. I hope it's helpful for you, but check it out if you like. But that's about it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.